Amendment 64 in Colorado set the precedent. Federal legalization waiting on the president. Now they call me marijuana scholar. Growing 6 plants in the closet. Zip $100. No withdrawals, only deposit.
Hey guys, it's Lady Furnish here.
And this is Chaotic Shock.
And this is the very last video from Colorado that I will be doing. And the reason we're making this video today is make another video specifically about Amendment 64 and when marijuana got legalized in Colorado recreationally back in 2014, which is when AJ was here. And he's from Texas, and I'll go ahead and let him take over and tell his story.
So yeah, Amendment 64 affected me directly because I was arrested for possession of marijuana 4 times in Texas.
And how much weed did you have on you?
The last time I had a gram exactly. Yeah. First time I had a 1/4 ounce, and every time it was less than that. So it was everything below a 1/4 ounce to a gram. And I was arrested 4 times and put on probation. But probation didn't work for me. You know, they tried to put me through a treatment program. It didn't work. I tried to go to Narcotics Anonymous. None of that worked for me because I could never relate to any of those people. And I remember sitting at home one night and watching the news, and I saw that in Colorado they had passed legalization of marijuana, and I said, wow, that's amazing. I need to do more research on this. I need to figure out exactly how this works and what it means, you know. And so I found out about Amendment 64, and I found out about, you know, the 6 plants and being able to carry up to 1 ounce on you, and you know, being able to purchase 1 ounce, you know, in state, and all the specifics of the law. And fortunately for me, I am so thankful that my uncle already lived here, and I was able to ask him, and he let me stay with him, and that made a huge difference.
Shout out to Uncle West.
Right, huge shout out to Uncle West. Because with him allowing me to stay here, it allowed me to not get in any more trouble with the law. And to this day, I've only gotten speeding tickets. I've never been arrested or had any serious trouble with the law again. Man, I'm so thankful for that, because my case specifically, what happened is I was arrested for a 1/4 ounce, and I took probation. I went to court, took probation, and
How much money did that cost you?
Oh, it cost a lot of money. I had to pay $50 every month, and I had to pay a number of fines, and I had to pay the bail back. So all of that happened first. Then when I went through all the process for the community service, I went to all the meetings. I did have to pay for the classes. It was like $100 and something for each class I had to take.
And that was every week? 2 weeks?
The first one was like a 4-day class, and then I had to pay for the treatment, which was like $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what happens if you can't pay that?
Then it's a probation violation.
And you go back to jail?
Well, yeah, they revoked your probation, and you have to go back to court, which is exactly what happened to me. That's what I was getting at, because I completed all the terms of my first probation, and I had filled out the early release forms. So I had early release paperwork, because I was supposed to be on probation for, 9 months, and I finished everything in like 6.
9 months for a gram of weed.
Yeah, I mean, all 1/4 ounce. Yeah, it was like a 1/4 ounce at that time. But yeah, it wouldn't have mattered. Anything less than 2 ounces is the same amount. So you're right. I had to take 9 months probation, and I finished everything in, I think, 6 months. And I had early release papers so that I would be done. And if I had turned in the early release papers, then none of this would have been on my record. Well, the night before I was supposed to go to court, I was arrested again and taken to jail.
And that's
with my early release papers in my hands. So that was a violation of probation. So I had to go back to court, and I was placed on 18 months probation.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So I was placed on 18 months probation.
That's a lot of money.
Yep. So I had to pay every month and go to all the meetings, go back to the treatment. And then I tried to do the community service again, but that was where it got me, is I didn't have enough time. I was going crazy, working full time.
Because you had to work to pay for everything.
Yep. So I was working full time, trying to go to
And then you
treatment
probably
and all that
couldn't
stuff.
barely even pay your bills.
Oh yeah, I was living with my grandparents at the time, so that wasn't
Thank
even,
God.
Yeah,
That was your situation.
it was.
Because a lot of people, you know, they don't have nowhere to go.
No, I was very
They
fortunate.
lose everything because
I was very
of
fortunate that I had my family to support me through my troubles through my legal troubles with marijuana, because I never have had addictive troubles, but I have had a lot of legal trouble because of marijuana.
And what would you say is the most dangerous thing about marijuana?
Getting arrested and all the police, you know, what the police have the ability to do to you.
So wait a second. So you're saying that the most dangerous thing about marijuana, it has nothing to do with the plant itself.
No.
Just having it in your possession.
Yeah, it's actually the fact that you have it is what.
Say it with me now. Interesting.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
It is.
Okay. Well,
So from there, I had 18 months probation, and I didn't complete it. I did not complete my 18 months probation, and I had to go back to jail. And
this just sounds like a vicious circle.
It was, and so I had to go back first to court to solve my case, because I had the 18 months probation, but I got arrested the third time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. I got arrested the third
and
time.
And by then, the judge don't want to hear nothing.
No, absolutely, there was no going back
You're
on
just
probation.
a criminal at this point.
That's right. So at that point, I had to take jail time, and so I had to take 30 days in jail on weekends. And so I worked full time and served my jail sentence on the weekends, so that I could be done with this,
right.
you know. And at the time, I thought that would be the end. I thought that, you know, once I served my jail sentence, I would be able to get on with my life.
It followed you.
Yeah, it did. It did.
Even moving to another state, it affected him in a whole nother state.
Yep.
Tell him about your job experience out in here in Colorado.
So yeah, right after I served my 30 days in jail, the weekend after I was done, a week after I was done with my jail time, I drove with my grandparents to Colorado, and we came here to stay with my uncle. They stayed for about a month, and I just stayed after them. And I started applying for jobs, just trying to, you know, get on my feet, you know, do the right thing. And fortunately, I was able to obtain a really good job. Now, when I was able to obtain this job, they asked me about my criminal background initially, and I disclosed everything. I told them honestly everything that happened to me, all my arrests. I gave them all the factual information. I provided all the documents. I have all the criminal documents that state, you know, my convictions, and they made an exception for me. They said, hey, you know, I know that you had all this happen, but we're gonna let you come work for us.
And where was this?
This was at Verizon. This was at Verizon Wireless. They gave me the exception, and I worked for them for a long time, for a year and 8 months. And I left Verizon of my own accord, and I wasn't upset about it, and I said I need to go and find another job. So when I applied for other jobs, they asked me about my criminal background. I fully disclosed all the information, told them everything honestly, said, you know, gave them all the documents, and job after job I found started to deny me because of my criminal background.
And what type of jobs were you applying for?
The first one that always sticks in my mind was Southwest Airlines. That was a job that I really wanted to work, that I really wanted. And I disclosed everything. I told them honestly. I went through the process as much as I could. And they told me that because of my criminal background, I was disqualified from employment until 2023. I couldn't even apply for the company again.
2023. That's still like 5 years.
Absolutely.
6 years from now. Jesus.
Yep. So I had to wait. I have to wait out, you know, a lot of these timelines. I started learning. One of the other jobs was a job to be a recruiter to help people find jobs. They disqualified me due to my criminal background, and I found out that these companies they do 7-year background checks a lot of times. So you know, I found out that I would have to wait 7 years from the date of my conviction or the date of my jail time. Yeah, one of those dates, 7 years from that, before my record is completely clear. My only other option is to apply for a pardon directly from the governor of the state of Texas.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a process. It's not. I mean, because it's a lawyer. You're right.
You'd
it's
be
a
better
lawyer.
off waiting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that's probably about the same time that it would actually get done.
Yes, that's right. Because of the process. Because of having to appeal 3 letters of recommendation. You have to write a whole statement, you know, saying why you think you should be pardoned for these crimes.
And it's basically someone's opinion of whether or not they think. So someone could be having a bad day, happen to be reading that letter and turn it down.
And completely deny you. Absolutely. It's all up to them. So because of all of that, you know, and a lot of people have asked me, you know, are you a convicted felon? And I have to always answer honestly, no, I am not a convicted felon. I was convicted of 3 Class B misdemeanors. And so therefore, you know, I've never committed a felony. Definitely nothing related to theft. But somehow that turns into a crime. You know, possessing a plant turns into a crime which disqualifies you from
being a productive citizen.
Absolutely. From the opportunity to be able to live the way you want to because of the job that you want to obtain.
When if the stereotype were correct that stoners are lazy and, you know, just bums and don't work, then why would he be looking for a job in the first place? You know? He was trying to find a job. Like, I remember when you were going through that time where you were just applying for every single job you could, like, just simple jobs that you should have gotten hired for.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I try not to let affect me because it's different for everyone, but I did also obtain my bachelor's degree, and so a lot of people, you know, try to say that furthering your education is very important, but I'm a direct, you know, I'm the epitome of that having, you know, of that being negated because of your criminal record. So even if you have a further your education, you know,
you make one mistake, which having a plant is not making a mistake. So we shouldn't be arresting people for it to begin with. Yeah,
I think the hardest thing for me, and the thing that I always go back to, is the first time I was arrested and I was in the squad car. I peered through as I had the handcuffs on, and I asked the officer, "Do you believe you're doing the right thing?" And are you, you know? And he didn't answer me, and that stuck with me because I felt that anyone that has power over another human being like that and still
should make a moral decision.
Absolutely. Right thing, I think that it's very inhumane.
You swear an oath to, you know, protect and serve, but that's not protecting anybody when you're stripping one of their rights for possessing a plant that grows out of the ground. That's not protecting anybody.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the way I felt.
It's only protecting the people that are writing these laws.
Absolutely. I felt that I was never harming anyone by actually having marijuana in my car. You know, I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not disturbing anyone. I'm not, you know, the only person that got hurt was me. And because of that, now I fear for my life every time I see a person in a badge. You know, it makes me so untrustworthy of people because their mentality is so focused on power and not honesty.
Yeah. And guilt or innocent until proven guilty that's not the way the system works.
No. I mean, as you can see, yeah, sure, I was guilty of my crimes and I pled to them, but unfortunately,
it was the easier route.
Yeah.
Because people can't afford to hire lawyers. You know, you get the right to a public attorney, but you know, the amount of people that are having
I was fortunate to have a good attorney.
You know, the amount of people that have court dates and, you know, have to show up to court really outweigh the number of public attorneys there are out there. So a lot of people don't even get that opportunity to have somebody represent them. And they don't know anything about the law or, you know, how to even go about a fucking court hearing. I know I didn't. I got pulled over for having a headlight out. And because the officer thought that he smelled weed in my car, he made me get out of my car, take a field sobriety test. And I was in a tough spot at the time. I happened to not have insurance, but I was right down the road from the house. I know that's not an excuse, but I had to go to court for it. I'd never been to court in my life. I asked the judge a simple question, and he went ballistic on me. And I felt like I was going to go to jail. I didn't know what was going to happen. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary not knowing, like, yeah, you do have your freedom at somebody's fingertips, and they can just do whatever they want. It doesn't even have to be justified.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones in power.
And that's what this is all about, is the fact that once it becomes, once you start talking about the law and, what's just and enforcement and tactics, all of this gets way beyond, the simplicity of, this is a plant that is grown here on this earth, that is natural, that should be available for everyone.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental thing. And once we lose sight of that and we start thinking about what's the law and what's just and right and wrong and policy and enforcement, that's when everything gets gray, and that's when it gets scary, and that's when people begin to fear for their lives. But thankfully, I want people to learn from my experience, not because of my fortune and because I had a good lawyer and an uncle that lived in Colorado and grandparents to help me, but because I learned the way to get out of the situation and found a way to overcome my personal struggle. I think that's what I want people to learn from it.
What do you think the state of Texas could learn from Colorado after living in both states for a good, Texas being where you're born and raised,
Yes,
and Colorado being where you've been for the last 5 years?
that's correct. Yes, this June it'll be 5 years I've been in Colorado, and man, I really do think Texas has a lot to learn, because in Colorado they can pay people more for working class jobs. There are a lot of jobs created because of the marijuana industry, and I think that's the most important thing.
Can you list 5 off the top of your head right now?
Bud tender, trimmer, grower, caregiver, and planter.
That's just the actual,
the tinge, right?
Being in the retail part of it.
Yeah.
You can be in the marketing, social media.
There's all the technology that goes into it. IT infrastructure.
Exactly.
There's so many other aspects.
Security jobs. If
Absolutely.
you have your
That's
armed,
right.
If you have your security license.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things you can
to me, that's the biggest benefit is the stability in the economy, because the two things that I think are really important about marijuana usage are the fact that because it's an illegal drug, there becomes a black market, and the connotation becomes being associated with a gateway drug. And in Colorado, we've seen that be not the case.
Completely the opposite.
Exactly.
People say that they start off with marijuana because why would anyone ever offer their friend heroin? That's how I see it. Of course that's going to be the first drug you're ever offered, because that's the friendly drug. It's when you get into that crowd of people and that type of scene, and you start making bad decisions for yourself and, choosing the wrong friends and stuff like that. That's when the actual drugs start to come into play, and that's when things start to go downhill. It had nothing to do with the fact that you smoke weed. The only thing, socially wrong with that is that it's illegal,
Mm-hmm.
and because of the stereotype above it.
Absolutely.
I remember the first time I ever went to school high. I was in 8th grade, and I felt like a bad person. Like the other day when we were smoking in the playground, and all those kids started running out. I felt like like a criminal, you know what I mean? It almost felt like we had just ran out of there, you know, after shooting up or something. But that's because of the stereotype that so many people put on it and have done so for so many years. You know, it forces that, you know, kind of thought on yourself, and it's, you know, you have to immediately reject those opinions because it is not true. You know, that's what we're fighting to change.
Absolutely. And the next thing with marijuana legalization is the economic benefits, and that's what we were talking about previously. But just the fact that we've seen here in Colorado that you can have legal marijuana and have it be profitable, I think is the most important thing Texas
So
has to
profitable.
learn. You know,
And this, like when we were talking to Justin and Charles,
absolutely,
that one state alone could get us the whole country out of debt.
That's correct.
If they legalized it recreationally.
The amount of citizens, I mean, I know that they're making a big headway with just one medical dispensary, but here in Colorado, recreational dispensaries are like Starbucks or McDonald's.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
they're everywhere. Especially the closer to downtown you get.
Yeah.
It's like one after the other, and it's such a sight to see. It's amazing.
I think there should be a dispensary next to every Whataburger restaurant in Texas, man.
Yes. I think there should be.
It's totally cool.
The amount of liquor stores out on every corner, there should be twice as many dispensaries. And you know what? The big alcohol companies are starting to lose profit because people prefer to spend their money on marijuana. People don't, you know, if they have the option, obviously they're going to choose marijuana, and that has been proven already.
And it's not just dispensaries; it's also head shops and grow location, hydroponic stores.
Yep,
I mean, all kinds of different
Even
things.
just events.
Yeah, events.
You know, 420 rally,
you know.
I'm sure, brings in tons of money. For
Barley
tourists.
Fest, absolutely.
Yep.
It already exists.
The
you know,
cannabis cup is held out here. They do that out in Aspen, I think. Yeah, they always have something going on out here. Red Rocks is amazing. And what's cool about Colorado is going to a concert and really just being able to light up and not have to worry about, especially when you're at an outdoor venue.
Absolutely.
Indoor venue's a little bit different, you know. You have
Depends on the
security
venue.
lurking
Absolutely.
and shit. Especially if it's like 16 and up type of shows.
Yes.
But if it's a more of a, 18
21 and up,
every-
definitely 21 and up.
They
Every
don't give
21
a
no.
fuck. I've thrown blunts to
On
Wishbone
stage.
from Bone Thugs on stage, and he smoked that shit. Like, we have blazed down at some concerts, and it's cool because nobody cares.
Yeah.
Everyone's having a good time.
Absolutely.
I have not once seen a fight go down any time I've gone out here in Colorado.
No.
And I've been here for 3 years, and we've gone to a
A
lot
lot
of
of
shows.
concerts.
We've gone to a lot of shows,
We
and
have.
not one time have I ever seen any kind of
No.
altercation, bad energy, none of that. It's all good vibes
Positive,
out here.
absolutely.
Very good vibes. yeah.
Absolutely. So that's really important, man. I hope people can learn from the legality of cannabis affecting us, because if we can change the law, then that's just
We
the
can
beginning.
change them all.
We can change the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Did you want to say anything else? Any last words for the video?
I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone that's been a part of the Lady Furnish team. Anyone that's donated, anyone that's subscribed, anyone that's liked the videos, commented, been there since the beginning, since the old Facebook Live days, you know, whatever.
The beginning of Facebook Live.
Yeah, man. I mean,
The 420 show.
yeah, exactly. The 420 show, all of that stuff. I appreciate everyone that's helped us, supported us. Shout out to John Small. Shout out to Taylor. Shout out to, you know, all those people.
Jeff. Shout out to
That's
Jeff.
right. Our
Jeff,
cameraman.
Jeff.
Shout out to Arturio, you know.
Everybody.
Shout out to KC, Tiffany, you know, Aubrey, all those people, everyone.
Everyone.
You know, I can't name everyone, but that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that Lady Furnish was able to start this channel, because it helps all of us like me who maybe want to live in Colorado all of our lives, you know, gives us a voice, you know, and not just me, but anyone else who was addicted to heroin, opiates, methamphetamines, all that stuff, you
Cigarettes,
know, alcohol, you know,
porn,
all that stuff.
Gambling.
anyone that's
going to church.
got all these problems, we're here to help free the weed and help, give marijuana a good name and change the law so that we can change the world. So I just thank Lady Furnish for everything. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to DC, guys. Catch me on the East Coast.
I see corruption in the government, and I will not stop until I find the root of it.